Now, in last week's episode, you saw a luxury car hand-built and put together right here in Malaysia. Now, Bufori as a brand is not very old here. I mean, they've been around and a lot of people know the brand, but a lot of Malaysians have actually not seen a Bufori in the flesh, let alone sit in one or drive one. Well, look at what I have behind me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably one of the very first real driving review of the Bufori Geneva, a four-door uber luxury sedan, hand-built in Malaysia to the standards of the car royalties of the world. And we are going to be testing this baby out. Let's go. It's a beautiful hot day here in Putrajaya, and it's the best weather you could ask for to actually have a look at this Bufori Geneva in its full glory. First of all, why am I referencing the great sun in talking about this car? Let's start with the gold flecks in this paint. You can even go down to customizing the amount of gold flecks you have in this paint, let alone customizing your paint color and also your coach lines. In fact, you can customize the way this car comes out to you in whatever color, pattern, shape and form that you want, as long as it goes onto this beautiful body shell. Let's talk about the design and the styling a little bit. If you think that this car looks eccentric, that's because it really is. It's supposed to carry with it the eccentricities and the reminisce of the 1930s American classic car looks, you know, with the long hood and the running boards on the side. This car, it just makes you think of brands like the Duesenbergs and the Packards in America. That's why this car is completely different from anything else that is currently on the road. Now, however, it does still maintain a certain level of modernity. If you look at the headlamps, it does look really good, right? But it's also to comply with the new and modern international safety standards. That's why these headlights are in there and they're, you know, very modern looking. You've got a long hood with a very pronounced cab, and then you've got a short rear stump. It has a great looking proportion. You can take this car and look at it from any angle, and while I know looks are subjective, but then you have to admit that this car has got its proportions spot on. Now, it's running on 20-inch forged alloy wheels, and check this out. The B on this wheel stays upright at all times, and this is actually an innovation and a brainchild of one of the designers, the Malaysian designers that work in the Bufori plant. Pretty nifty, huh? All right, so as we go along, you'll get, you know, these great doors, but this is where the party happens. Coach doors. Wow. This is a sense of occasion on its own right. You know, when you come closer to the door, you see this small little B over here. It tells you that this car is special. And then when you look at the person inside and then the valet opens the door, this way, it's wow. Well, that's the front part. But then if we have established that the car looks decidedly American, classic American in style up front, to me personally at least, it has a very British classic car look to the back. And if you're worried about boot space, don't worry, because you actually have a pretty nifty section over here. And take a look at this. Even the boot is lined with, you know, a Bufori bespoke carpet that was handmade and tailored specifically to fit this area. But it doesn't stop there. If you lift this cover up, they thought of everything. Even the tools compartment look $1 million. But enough about talking about the looks and all. Let's see how it rides. Okay, so now we're on the road, and first impressions, first couple of seconds in this car, first couple of minutes, I do not see the reason why I would ever want to leave the comfort of this space that I have over here and want to swap places with my main man over here who's doing the driving. Thank you so much, bro. Now, let's talk about the leather. Again, the running theme here is that you can customize the space any way you want to. It really depends on how big your wallet is and what exactly you want to do with all the wads of cash that you have in the wallet. Generally speaking, you have about 7 to 8 hides that they use per vehicle, per Geneva, and the leather is of the highest quality. The coloring will never fade. It is, you know, the coloring goes right through, and it's even, and the leather is soft. It's like buttery, and you know, there's only so many words that you could use to describe how good it feels to touch and see and smell leather. Well, you're gonna get all that over here, all the way right through to the center console over here, where you can actually choose. Well, this particular car comes fitted with a hot and cold water dispenser for you to have your drinks, right? This particular car comes with a fridge for you to put your drinks in. You've got your glasses in there. You've got a power supply for you to plug in your laptop, which you can of course put on this picnic tray over here. Picnic tray, a walnut, bro, don't play, you know, it's probably more expensive than your laptop. And then you can also have a massage feature in this car. Of course, the seats recline, you know, you don't have to mention that. And then you have this. This is where you keep your flutes and your glasses and, you know, a selection of your favorite beverages. And also you have this little tray over here where you can have your tea making facilities. Yep, they thought of everything. Okay, despite the fact that I said that I will not drive this car because it's so cool to be driven in, unfortunately this is a proper driving test, right? And people have been pointing it to me that I must also have an experience driving this behemoth of a vehicle, but wonderful nonetheless, and have a feel of how it feels like to actually be on the driver's seat. Because yes, it is comfortable, yes, it is very luxurious, but you know what? I have not mentioned this baby comes with a 6.4 litre Hemi V8. Yes, it is a big engine, and this 6.4 litre unit pushes out close to 500 bhp and well over 600, in fact 640 Newton meters of torque. That means, despite the fact that this car weighs well over 2 tons, it is going to be able to do the century sprint in half the time most modern road cars out there. Now, when you're up here, everything just looks really posh, and everything is within easy reach, but nonetheless, the driving sensation, the driving feel itself, it's easy. It doesn't take rocket science to propel this vehicle forward and, you know, to actually take it for a spin. Yes, you don't need to adjust your TV screens. I am driving on the wrong side of the car. It's because this car, you know how I said that it's supposed to be customizable? Well, it is, and this car is destined to be delivered stateside, which is exactly why the driver sits on the left. Paired with the 8-speed ZF sequential gearbox with pedal shifters, this is definitely going to ensure that you have one heck of a power delivery to the rear wheels. The engine is also a smart unit. It shuts off the cylinders that is not in use when you're puttering around town and you're driving slowly. You don't need to use all 8 parts, so it shuts down the parts that you don't need, which is definitely very good for fuel economy. But let's just do one final thing over here. That is the sound of 8 magical parts putting out 640 Newton meters of torque. This car is American muscle in fine clothing, ladies and gentlemen. Wowza. Now, how do you, well, actually summarize what you want to say about this car? There really isn't a summary that would be able to completely compress the entire story of the brand, of the car, and of the company's history in Well, one statement. What you can definitely say is that if you are in the market for a car that gives you complete uniqueness, complete outstanding properties, and also performance, luxury, and comfort to boot, well, there are very, very few cars out there that will be able to come up to those standards. Now, pair all that up with the fact that this car is designed and made specifically to your specifications, from paint color all the way down to what goes in between you and the rear passenger in terms of the rear console. You know that this car is special. Now hold on, maybe that is the word that you could use to describe this car. Special. Special like none other. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bufori Geneva, made right here in Malaysia. And we at InGear are very, very proud to be able to be one of the first shows in the world to be able to do a proper test drive in this car.